Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're a community services student or working in community services field, I'd like to ask a simple question. Do you ever come home after work feeling completely exhausted? Not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. Or you may be wondering about a client that's contacting you after work hours. Or you're thinking about your workload, that there's a lot to be done but not enough time to get it done. If these are the questions that sounds familiar to you, you're not the only person, and today's video is for you. In today's video, I'm going to talk about some tips related to preventing burnout and stress and more about community workers' well-being. If interested, please continue watching. Community services is one of the most meaningful careers you can ever choose. You might be working in any area, could be mental health, could be AOD, alcohol and other drugs, youth work, family services, disability or NDIS, and in all these roles, you are supporting people through really complex and often very difficult life situations. You may be working supporting a young person experiencing housing or homelessness. You may be helping a client through addiction recovery, or you may be working with families who are affected by family and domestic violence. And this work actually matters because it also comes with a lot of emotional weight. And that's why your well-being is super important here. Let's talk about why well-being is so important in community services field. Burnout here doesn't just mean feeling tired or feeling exhausted physically. It can also look like emotional exhaustion, feeling detached from your clients, or losing your motivation or passion for your work, or even starting to question your own career choices. For example, imagine a case worker who starts to feel numb when listening to client stories. This is often a sign of burnout, which is settling in. And the impact doesn't just stop with the worker. When burnout happens, clients may not get the best support, and you may start to make more mistakes. Workers may start leaving the job because of this emotional exhaustion. So again, looking after yourself is not an option in this field. It is part of your ethical practice. So what actually causes burnout in community services? One major factor here would be the workload. Imagine you're a case worker with 25 clients all needing support with housing, mental health, AOD, financial stress, and every case feels super urgent. And then there's an exposure to trauma as well. To give you an example, you may be listening to stories of abuse or neglect, or you may be supporting someone after a crisis or overdose. You're working with clients who are actually grieving. So even though it's not happening to you directly, you're still absorbing that emotional impact. And this is sometimes leading to vicarious trauma that keeps on building up over the time. This is also some personal and professional patterns that possibly can increase the risk. For example, wanting to save or fixing the clients, taking on some extra responsibilities, or struggling to say no. Let's say a youth worker who gives their personal phone number to clients and starts responding after hours. That boundary crossing can quickly lead to exhaustion. Another big one is work-life imbalance. If you're constantly thinking about your clients, even when you're off work, your brain never gets a break. So here's something that's really important. Burnout is not just an individual problem. It is a system issue too. There's a common myth that workers just need to be more resilient. But the reality is, even the most resilient workers will burn out in the wrong environment. So it's the culture, it's the climate of the organization that can add on to that stress and that factors that cause burnout. So well-being, it requires a combination, a combined effort from both the organization and the individual. There's organizational support needed, and there's also individual strategies needed. Let's start with the organization first. A strong workplace will always provide regular supervision. To give you an example, if you're dealing with a challenging client, maybe someone who keeps relapsing, you should be able to discuss that in supervision and get some guidance rather than carrying it alone. There should also be debriefing after critical incidents. Imagine supporting a client through a crisis situation without debriefing, that stress just stays with you. And good organizations also offer employee assistance program where you can access those confidential counselings to deal with that stress and to deal with that burnout. Workplace culture can either protect you or burn you out faster. In a positive environment, you will start feeling safe, asking for help. You will reach out to other people, seek some support when needed. Your work will be recognized. Your team will support each other. For example, a team that regularly checks in, how you're going with that case, if you need any more help with that, how you're feeling about that particular client. This can make a huge difference. Compare that to a workplace where everyone's just so busy and absorbed and disconnected, doing their own thing. That isolation increases the stress. Let's be very clear, burnout is often about workload. It is not about someone's weaknesses or any sort of areas where you need any more support because of any individual traits. It's often there's policies, procedures, or protocols or systems established that are failing to provide support to employees. Imagine being expected to complete some reports, attend some meetings, supporting the clients, handling crisis calls, and doing all these things in one day without enough time. That's not sustainable. Organizations need to keep the caseloads realistic, provide enough staff members, and be clear about the priorities and expectations. Because no amount of self care can fix an unrealistic workload. When workers feel confident, they feel less stressed. For example, a new support worker dealing with mental health crisis might feel overwhelmed, but with proper training, they gain skills and confidence. And training also shows that this organization values you. They're ready to invest in you, which also improves your further confidence and morale and motivation to work in this organization. Now let's focus on what you can control. Your well being starts with the basics your sleep, nutrition, movement. If you are skipping your meals or running on 4 or 5 hours of sleep, your ability to cope with stress drops significantly, and these basics are not optional, they're essential. Self care should be a part of your daily routine. It should be an act of love for yourself. Daily self care, whether it could be going out for a walk or taking 5 minutes break or doing something that is meaningful to you, helps you keeping you grounded and in peace. Boundaries are one of the most important skills in community work. To give you an example, a disability support worker might feel pressured to stay longer with a client or answer their calls outside the work hours. But without boundaries, that quickly leads to burnout. Healthy boundaries look like finishing on time, not taking your work home, saying I'd follow up tomorrow instead of overextending, learning to say no to the work which you know that is unrealistic to finish in a day. Stress management doesn't have to be very complicated. It could be simple things like taking 5 minutes break between clients to reset, writing some quick reflective notes to recharge, doing some breathing exercise after every tough conversation with your client or manager. For example, after a difficult session with a client who is experiencing trauma, instead of jumping straight into the next task, take a short pause, give yourself a break to ground yourself. Or could be any other simple practice which works for you. Work life balance is super critical. Ask yourself, do I switch off after work or am I still thinking about my clients at night? For example, a case worker who's constantly checking emails at home is never fully resting. Balance means having time that is completely separate from your work, engaging in the activities that recharge you. You don't have to carry everything alone. If there's a case which is emotionally affecting you, exhausting you, bring it to the notice of your manager or supervisor, or take it to your next supervision meeting. Talk to your colleagues. They often understand exactly what you're going through, and if needed, access your professional support. This is not a sign of weakness. This is a professional responsibility to seek support when needed. Resilience is often misunderstood. We often think that resilience is about pushing yourself through no matter what, but that's not the truth. It should be about knowing when to take rest, knowing when to ask for help, and staying connected to your own purpose. For example, could be celebrating small wins, like helping a client attend one appointment, can remind you that progress matters, even if it's very small. So here's a key takeaway. You cannot pour from an empty cup. When you take care of yourself, you think more clearly, you respond better to your clients, and you stay in the field for longer. Healthy workers is equals to better outcomes. To wrap it up, burnout is real, but it's preventable. Only if you're provided with supportive workplaces, strong boundaries, and practical self-care. You can build a career that is not just meaningful, but also very sustainable. Thank you for watching this video. Ask yourself, what is your one way to manage your stress in your work area? Or if you're doing community work or doing any studies related to community work, what is the activity that recharges you? I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching this video.